the transport that we book, if you've asked StudyLinks to arrange our transport, that will always be with a vetted transport company. So that what that means is we have checked that they are an official transport company, usually a private hire, taxi firm, and that means that they have done the police checks on the staff members. And it also means that we've got an agreement with them that they can look after under 18s, and that they will, if we've got any special requests, for example, if we're booking a student to be picked up from school to homestay, then the taxi company must, at the homestay, so pick them up from school at the homestay, they must make sure that the student is passed over to the homestay family. So they must make sure that the homestay family is in at the time of the drop-off. So these are just safety procedures that we have and agreements that we have with our transport companies. The transport companies also know our emergency number. They would ring us directly. And in terms of payment, you would have already prepaid, and we will pay the transport company. So that means that your child does not need to carry cash or pay by card in the transport vehicle. So it's all pre-booked and prepaid for. It's very common for schools to arrange airport transfers. However, that would usually require students all arriving on the same day, around the same time, and then waiting for each other and going in a coach, because they'll typically send a staff member to wait for the students. The alternative for us would be that we book a private hire, so the taxi's waiting at the time, and the student doesn't need to wait. Of course, there's an additional, well, comparatively, the private hire would cost more because it's a private service. Just to say, whilst we're talking about airport pickups, we do work with a partner where we can have staff waiting within the airport. So that means if a student is coming into the UK, usually young children, then if they need more support getting through immigration and those all the way through, we can have a staff member within the airport to take them through. And the same if a student's leaving the UK, we can have staff who go with them through check-in, through immigration, and take them all the way to the gate. So that is an option, but those are additional services which you can find in our additional services list if it's useful for you. Schools can also book taxis. It depends on the school and it depends on the journey that the student's taking. So again, if you want to ask the school to book transport, please check that they offer it first. Some schools don't like to book it, and that's when they'll ask you or ask us as the guardian to arrange it. Your child, once they're in the UK, they might think, well, I'll just book an Uber. That's not something that we can agree to, because the Uber drivers are not police checked. So we cannot say, yes, that's okay, and we cannot book an Uber for your child, which might be cheaper than a private hire. We don't recommend that students book Uber or anything similar to that because of the safety concerns, and often schools will not agree to it either. So that's something to be aware of. Independent students, maybe they could catch a bus to go from school to homestay or something like that. Again, actually, in terms of a child's development, it's great if they can learn how to read the bus timetables in the UK, deal with that process of getting around easily. But for safety reasons, it's not something that we would be able to say, okay, please get on this bus at this time, because in the UK, public transport is not necessarily as reliable as in some other countries. So students can get stuck if a bus doesn't turn up, for example. Same thing with trains. So in reality, a lot of students, if they're older, will get trains, especially if they're going to London Heathrow or Manchester Airport, for example. However, that's not something that we would be able to say, yes, definitely do it, because we can't guarantee that your child will get there on time. At the time that your child needs any transport booking, please just ask us. You know, we can book our own transport. If you've got some other plans and you just want to check, is it right? Then of course we want to help make sure it's right, but we would need an absolution form. So what that means is it's where you sign to say, okay, you as parents agree for them to make their own arrangements. It's not something that we've arranged at StudyLinks, and if anything goes wrong, really it's you as the parents, you take on that responsibility, because it's not something that StudyLinks have arranged.